Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Furman Lacrosse Weekly Preview. I am Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins, along with Kirkland Lewis, the women's lacrosse coach here at Furman University. Brand new feature started this week with both lacrosse and softball. Kind of enhance our coverage of the programs, keep our fans updated as to what's going on. And yeah, I know we're late in the season for both of these sports, but kind of using this as a little bit of a trial run for what we're going to do full-time next year. It's good to have you with us. Always good to get a chance to catch up with our coaches in all of our sports. And a young lady here who's still holding her breath we were just talking about
Yes.
a moment ago. How are you?
I'm good. It's it's such a crazy time, but having 2 games a week, but as long as it seems, it's also flown by.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was just here talking to you, and the season hadn't even started yet. So, it's going great.
And not to mention the fact that under the circumstances in which you were hired late. And
Yes.
so to say you were hit the ground running would be an understatement, right?
Yes.
When you look back on all of this, would it make for a good book?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what the title would be, but
That was going to be that was going to be my next question.
It'd be something along the lines of like thrown in the deep end.
What was I thinking or something?
Yeah.
I get the idea, though, that you're enjoying the challenge.
Yeah, no, I really am. It's been, as much as, you kind of wish that you had more time, it's kind of nice to just get thrown in and have to hit the ground running right away because there's no time to overthink. You just have to take challenges as they come. So, yeah.
I don't know how you are, but I have been accused, and justifiably so, of getting in trouble when I think too much.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm sure my assistant would agree if I start to overthink.
Matter of fact, there's an old baseball axiom that says, "Don't think, you can only hurt the team."
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. I'll stick with that saying.
Let's just catch folks up a little bit on kind of the history of what we're talking about here. You were hired and came into this program when?
My first day was December 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was hired right after Thanksgiving and was able to move down to Greenville, I think December 12th or something like that. So
At a point in time which you should have already been running the program,
Right.
going through a fall and doing everything with the circumstances under which the coaching change was made. You are literally stepping into the middle of things, in the middle of things.
Oh, yeah, yep. When I got on campus, the players were actually, some of them had already left for winter break.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of tells you how late it was in the semester. By the time I really started getting into the office and starting, pretty much everything.
When we talked to you on Inside Furman Athletics, the one thing that I mentioned to you, though, in the transition process while they were looking for the coach who would become you, the ladies were organizing and practicing and working out on their own.
Yep.
The ones who chose to stay here were not just kind of moping around and hanging around and quote unquote living the college life. They were out here working on their own in anticipation of, hey, somebody's going to come in here and coach us, and we want to be ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that the driving factor for that, them being just self-motivated and working on their own, is that the goal never changed. They wanted to compete for a Big South championship, and they knew, no matter what happened, it still kind of relies on them and the work that they put in. So, yeah, they've been working, all fall pretty much on their own. They only had a interim or a volunteer coach come once or twice a week, and the rest was all on them.
What does that tell you about them?
Oh, I think it speaks volumes to their character and to the kind of leadership we have, the culture, and just their intentions that they don't want to just go compete anywhere. They wanted to do it here at Furman for Furman's women's lacrosse. So, and walking into that, it's been tenfold. That's exactly the character and the players that we have on the team.
And then you have to come in and you have to start developing your culture and what you want this program to look like. Was that a culture shock for the ladies who are still here?
I don't think so, because we were kind of on the same page. You know, there's high expectations, accountability. We needed good leadership, which was already kind of there. And then I, just from previous experience, knew that I couldn't come in and change everything, day one. It's a collaboration. So really working with upperclassmen and leaders on the team to see, what actually was their vision and how did they think they could get there, and then tell them what my vision was and how I thought we could get there, and kind of meeting in the middle. And I think year after year that'll change, where kids coming in will already understand what I expect out of them.
You mentioned something a minute ago that we can't let go without revisiting a little bit, because you mentioned that your assistant may have some thoughts about that. That's a luxury for you to have an assistant coach, isn't it? Because for folks who don't remember from our Inside Furman Athletics interview going back a handful of months, this lady came from some programs where she was the head coach, the assistant, the trainer, the chief cook and bottle washer, sold the popcorn, did all of that by herself. So you got to be happy.
I mean, I was thrilled. It's so nice, honestly. It's just nice to have support, someone to actually bounce ideas off, and that you're not just talking yourself. But yeah, and the fact that we're still understaffed is kind of exciting again,
right.
Just because I'm gonna have two one day. So yeah.
It's probably the only coach in America right now who looks at being understaffed as a blessing, because for her, she's overstaffed based on previous.
If it's not just me, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. You can get a little testy about the other part of it later. Right now, you're still thankful.
Yeah.
Season right now, you're 3-6 overall, but in conference play, you're 3-1. Just suffered your first loss in the league. You'd won your first 3 league games. How would you characterize the way you're playing right now?
I think we're playing. It's inconsistent, which is, I think, kind of what comes with having a younger team and having players that are filling new roles and having a smaller roster. But when we're playing on, it's so good. You can see that this is a championship level program. It's just a matter of our players, stepping up to those bigger games, those big opportunities, and showing up and making sure that they can walk away from those games being like, we gave our all. But it's nice also to get a first look at some of the teams in the Big South and see kind of what the conference is like overall. So, we're playing well. We could play better.
Well, what's been your impression of the league so far?
It's just a very, gritty league, I would say. Everyone's fast, and I think on each team there's a couple players that are kind of the biggest contributors all over the field. And so it's just kind of strategy and how can you kind of shut down or neutralize what they do, and then also, continue on what you do as well. So it's been nice, and I think that Furman, a huge advantage that I've seen so far is that we are so fast compared to what I've seen so far in the conference. So that's something that, athleticism-wise is a huge benefit going up against Big South teams.
Who have been those major contributors for you?
Meg Beal, definitely overall. She just has stepped up in a huge way in the last 3 games with draw controls, which is the life and breathing source of the game. If you don't win the draw, you can't win games. And she's winning double-digit draw controls in every game that she's in, and then also contributing on offense. Lauren Farber is one of our few two-way middies, so she just works on both ends of the field. Ellie Roser and Caitlin Sousa on defense have just been phenomenal and getting really tough matchups from other teams and being able to shut them down each game. And then, obviously Hannah Dentino is, our kind of spark and fire on the offensive end.
So as all of this is going on, and you're not having a chance to breathe, as we have detailed, the other piece of this puzzle is the future.
Yes.
And recruiting and getting other players end of this program. How has that part of the puzzle started to come together for you?
It's been interesting with the 2023 class. We are doing so well. We already have 10 verbal commits, which is really exciting. And for the 22 class, that was already a small class, and it's gotten smaller, which just opens up, going into the transfer portal, which is, also really exciting. So I think we're in a good spot. But, in order to get where we want to be for roster numbers, we definitely have to increase the amount of kids that are coming in next season. So that's something that I've been working on throughout the season, and that will really kind of take shape early this summer.
And as we know here at Furman, it's not like a lot of different schools that can just go to the transfer portal and say, I want you, and I want you, and I want you.
Right.
There's a certain type of kid
Absolutely.
that can come here because you have to marry legitimate academics with that athletic ability, right?
Yeah, that a lot of kids are grad students, and we can't, offer them much in terms of what we offer for graduate programs. So that's another piece in the transfer portal that's a little tricky. But I think just with the overall landscape with COVID and things like that, there's just a lot more kids in the portal that aren't grad students, that are, freshmen and sophomores. So they'll have a good amount of eligibility left. And, again, that just have a varying degree of academics and schools they're coming from.
As a coach, what's your opinion about the transfer portal?
I like it. I like that it's, booming right now. I do think that it'll change, and I think it's kind of, as a coach, how you figure it will work best for your program, because there's a difference in bringing in a transfer that's going to be a junior when they get here and a transfer that's going to be a freshman, in terms of scholarship money or just, the numbers that you have in given classes and things like that. But I think it's overall a huge benefit to all programs, because there's players in there from all divisions.
We are visiting with Kirkland Lewis, the women's lacrosse coach here at Furman. This is a new feature that we are doing on a weekly basis. We will record and drop on Mondays a weekly preview of the lacrosse program, and we'll get to the games coming up this week in just a bit. When you got into coaching, did you know that you're also going to have to be a part-time economist, figuring out scholarships? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be a part-time psychologist dealing with players. Did you know all that was on your, going to have to be on your resume as well?
Absolutely not. At 22, I'm like, I'm going to be on the field all day playing lacrosse. It's going to be amazing. And you learn quite quickly how little that piece actually is. But it's nice for every kind of school that I've gone to. There's been great resources and you always tap into coaches that have more experience than you in terms of, the money piece and budgeting and all of that. And then tapping into what the campus offers for sports psych or nutrition or anything like that. So it's just, I think with experience, you kind of learn what to take on and what you actually have qualifications for and how you can actually benefit your student athletes and what you can hand off that will benefit them more.
How much have you learned?
So much. It's just amazing what I thought coaching was going to be when I first got in my, part-time $10,000 a year job. And I thought I was rolling in cash versus now. And just the amount of, of effort, like what you put into your programs is what you get back. So it really is it's funny because it's a saying, but there really are no days off and there's always something to do, but it's in a good way. And I think if you end up in a place like Furman, there's great work-life balance within that.
I can't tell you the number of coaches that I've talked to over my career who have told me that even more than game days, they cherish the practice time because it's the time that they get to do the thing that they love the most, and that's the teaching aspect of it. Because that's when they're on the field and that's when they're doing what they feel like they were meant to do on the field or on the court, whatever the sport. Mm-hmm. And how much of their time away from the court or the field is taken up with all these other things that don't have anything to do directly with teaching their sport. Mm-hmm. And they feel at most in their element again, even more than game day when they are practicing, because that's
Right.
when they're teaching. Do you find yourself in that mindset?
Yeah, I honestly love practice. I think it's really nice to you get to really know your players in those coachable moments, and when you're really honed in on something with them, and then you finally see it click, and then you kind of see the result of it clicking in games, which is really nice. But practice, it really is nice to break down the fundamentals and just dive into the sport and take what you have personnel wise and then apply it to different kind of systems.
Yeah, I get to see it somewhat up close and personal, but even at that, it's from kind of an arm's length. But I don't think that fans have any idea what a college head coach, really at any level, but especially at this level, the amount of things they have to do that have nothing to do with coaching
Oh yeah.
on a daily basis, with all of the other hoops they have to jump through that are part of the job. And it's
Yep.
what you sign up for. But until you go through it, I don't think that you really understand everything that comes along with it.
Absolutely. I think the easiest kind of connection I can think is when I was an assistant. I felt like I was doing all of the work, and I'm like, what is the head coach doing if I'm doing all of this? And then when I became a head coach, there's so many things you have to be plugged into, not just within athletics, but in the academic piece of your institution, within the community that you live in. And it is all part of the job, but it's not, it's definitely not sometimes in the description of what you think you're going to need to do. But you have to kind of show up for your program.
Well, let's talk about what you've got coming up this week as we get set to wrap up here. First of all, we're recording this on Monday, so on Wednesday you've got a home game here at Paladins Stadium with Radford at 6 p.m. What can you tell us about that one?
That'll be, I think, a good game. It'll be, I believe, our first time playing Radford. And they are they have a new coach as well and struggling through, I think, this first season. But for us, it'll be kind of a good game to hopefully just play at the level we know we can and bounce back from a really disappointing loss on Saturday. So it's exciting to be home again and to kind of just go back out there and prove to ourselves what we can do.
You see, I was trying to be nice to you. I wasn't going to bring up Saturday.
I appreciate that.
Once. I was going to be nice once. This was your this was your one free pass.
I figured I would just bring it up.
Yeah.
It's like looming, so.
Yeah. And then this coming Saturday on the road at Winthrop.
Yeah, so that, again, another team that just got a new head coach as well, and I think that that'll be a little bit more competitive for us. But, again, a team where, and just from me watching them, I think we have the personnel to beat them and do it handedly as well if we play how I know we can.
2 weeks of regular season play left, right?
Yeah, that's it. This week and, the following week, right? Yep. We're already.
So all this work and everything hitting the ground running, and suddenly you're right here at the end.
Yeah, it's crazy. I forget who I was telling, but each week you put in so much with scout and film and breakdowns and all of this stuff to plan on one game, and then as soon as it's over, it doesn't matter anymore, and then you're just focusing then again on the next team, and it goes by so quick that now we're looking at Radford, and I just felt like a month ago that felt like Radford would never come. So it's flying by.
Well, what we hope is that Radford game on Wednesday, we'll have a bunch of people here in Paladin Stadium to watch the game. If not, you can check it out on ESPN Plus. It'll be broadcast, and you'll be able to watch it on that platform. But we would love to have you here in the stadium. How has the core fan base been for you?
Yeah, it's been great. We actually get, surprisingly, our midweek weekday games are 6:00 at night, and we still get a great turnout for those. And there's a mix. It's students, it's parents. I think it's just people in the community. So that's been really cool. And Saturday we had a lot of players or a lot of people come out to the game. But we have a great fan base. I think our parents are obviously our number one supporters. So they always, show up when they can, and that's really fun.
Good deal. So 6:00 on Wednesday at home against Radford, and then Saturday on the road at Winthrop, and then one more week of regular season play and then postseason, right?
Yes, that's it.
And then it's on.
And it's on.
Get a chance to play for a conference championship.
Yeah, and the way it's shaking out right now, we know if we do what we're supposed to, we should be in the tournament. It's just a matter of seeding and things like that. But I think that's exciting to already kind of look further enough and know, okay, we got where our goal was, and now we just have to make sure we're firing on all engines by that time in May.
Now, wait a minute. I thought as a head coach, you were supposed to say we take them one game at a time. We never look down the road.
You know,
we never.
I could say that, but it wouldn't be fully honest.
And I think all the coaches who do say that probably are not being fully truthful as well, because it's funny that they'll say that in a press conference, and then you have a private conversation with them, and they always seem to know what's going on.
Yeah, you just keep a little pulse on what's happening and how that can affect you, good, bad, in between.
I love the honesty. I love it. Kirkland, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's been great catching up with you. We'll do it again next week,
awesome.
and hopefully have a little student-athlete addition to what we're doing here as well when we come back with our next edition of our Furman Lacrosse Weekly Preview. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to doing it again, and we will be back next Monday with our next edition, checking inside the Furman lacrosse program. Until then, for Kirkland Lewis, I am Dan Scott. As always, say God bless you, and so long, everybody.